Hello and welcome everyone. This is a video about the process of making new prototype Asteroid boards for our board game Circulari, the debut title from Bruin Sky Games. When playing Circulari, you need to move these boards around while keeping the pieces on top in place. Hence, we need dual layer boards with indentations cut into the top layer to hold the pieces. Earlier prototypes, such as these, used a single hand-cut board with a laser-cut acrylic overlay taped on top. Today, however, we'll be making a new set of boards entirely out of cardboard. The result should be much more akin to how the finished product, mass-produced using die-cutting tools, will hopefully one day look.
Coming out of the printer now, you'll see the artwork for the top layer. This is new artwork, and it's the first time it's being made into actual game components. We're printing onto heavy matte photo paper and we'll mount it onto board a little bit later on. Some months ago, we started working with an artist to replace the art used in earlier prototypes with something more appealing and professional. I hope you'll agree that what you can see here is a step in the right direction. Unfortunately, we have suffered a setback on the art front, as the artist we were working with has had to withdraw from the commission due to other commitments. This background art was taken from our original artist's first draft. It's not quite where we'd hoped to be today, but we'll be using this for prototypes until we can find a new artist to take on the project. We also need to print some artwork for the bottom layer of the boards. This isn't very attractive on its own, but a few key graphic design elements will show through the holes that we're going to cut in the top layer. The next step is to mount the photo paper onto some board. To do this, we need glue. Originally, I used a spray glue, but setting up an area for spraying and then cleaning up afterwards was quite time consuming. By contrast, this machine, a Xyron laminator, gets the job done quickly and easily. It contains two rolls of material, one of which is applied underneath and the other on top of the paper. The whole thing is pressed together with rollers as the handle is cranked. In this case, the underneath roll contains adhesive backing paper and the top a temporary transparent cover which mops up the excess glue on the borders. Once the glue has been applied, it's just a matter of carefully lining up the paper and board together and peeling back the backing paper to stick them down. The board is 1mm thick, which is thinner than I've used in the past when cutting by hand with a Stanley knife. However, as you'll see in a moment, it already takes the CNC cutting machine a lot of work to get through board this thick, and so we've had to make a small compromise. This is a K&K Force, a computer-controlled cutting machine. The head of the machine carries a small drag knife which it pulls through the material being cut. The knife is mounted on a spindle so that it turns as we cut around the corners of shapes. For the 1mm board we're cutting, not to mention the paper mounted on top, it takes several passes over the same shape in order to cut cleanly through. On each pass, the knife is lowered slightly to make a deeper cut. If you try and cut too deeply in a single pass, then the board is prone to slipping, or the machine loses track of the cutting head's position and starts cutting in the wrong place. It took a lot of trial and error to find the right settings for cutting this material, but 15 passes just about manages it. We start by cutting out the holes, followed by the outlines of the boards themselves. You can see that, for the holes, the paper mounted on top of the board has popped off in some places. The force of the blade has overpowered the strength of the glue over the small surface area of the cutouts. We'll peel these off and dispose of them later. Once the cutting has finished, we can lift up the board from the cutting mat, and ideally the pieces should just fall out. In practice, however, we find that the knife has ridden up on the right hand side of the pieces as it completed each pass, and we need to gently pull them free. Finally, now that we have cut both layers, it's time to glue them together. The boards are too thick to fit through the laminator's rollers, so we'll paste some PVA glue onto the back of the top layer. Doing it this way ensures that the parts of the bottom layer which show through the holes won't get glue on them. Once we've applied the glue, then it's just a matter of carefully lining up the two layers and pressing them together. Voila! Let's see the new components in action. We'll take out some 8mm cubes, used to represent your fleet of space mining robots in Circulari, and place them into the cutout spaces on the new asteroid boards. Then we can pick the boards up and move them around while the cubes remain safely in their assigned spaces. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel or visit our website at ruinsky.com and sign up to our email newsletter to keep abreast of the latest developments with Circulari. Until next time, goodbye!